Hello everybody and welcome back to the Eternal Sonata playthrough. It is time to explore the pirate ship Dulce, and oh, it's quite exciting. Had all those cutscenes and now we're in a full-on dungeon, and it's quite exciting because it's a pirate ship. If you ever want to get back to the Baroque ship, just speak to the guy at the end there and he will let you back on. But really, there's not much need, just save up here and leg it in. By the time you reach the end of the dungeon, you're probably going to be wanting to be around level 23 if you can help it. 22, you probably should be alright, but that's just because the boss that is going to come up at the end of this dungeon can be quite a challenge. So, you have just got to be careful. I would say, of all the boss fights that we have faced up to this point, the boss fight of this dungeon is arguably the most difficult and the one that you are more likely to have your first death on. I know that when I first played Eternal Sonata that was definitely the case, because I hadn't been levelling up Beat and Polka really that much, and all of a sudden I've effectively got to use them because you only have Polka, Beat, Frederick and Salsa to play with here. And so yeah, it just ended up being a bit like, oh my god, I'm not prepared for this. But this time I'm definitely prepared, and it's going to be epic. So yes, we're going to be facing down a lot of pirates on this ship, as you would expect. And it's quite fun because you're going to be jumping down levels, climbing up, and all sorts to explore. And it's certainly worth obviously having a look around the ship, and it's definitely worth not running straight through, because really, for the love of God, please level up, because you are not going to be in a position where you can do that effectively come the end of the dungeon. So, Dolce is the Italian word for sweetly, so whenever someone says to play a piece of music in Dolce, you play it sweetly. Well, it's a bit ironic for a pirate ship, but I'll take it.
What's this thing? It looks like some kind of weird rock or something.
Hey, Polka, why are you carrying around this weird stone?
To be honest with you, I don't even remember how long I've had that stone. According to my mother, I was already carrying it around with me when I was just 4 years old. She would tell me to throw it away, but I wouldn't listen to her. Apparently, I said it was a gift from someone I love, and I would never throw it away, no matter what.
Huh? You had a boyfriend when you were 4? Wow, you were really precocious, weren't you?
I don't know why, but for some reason this stone feels very important to me, and I've never been able to throw it away.
The distant memories of a fleeting love. It's so incredibly romantic.
All right, enough about that. Let's get going.
So, this is an interesting little tidbit about Polka's. That stone carries around with her everywhere, doesn't know really what it is, why she's got it, but it's important to her because it was from someone that she loved. Now, looking at it, I had to say that it really does heavily remind me of a magatama, which obviously is not a musical thing or a Chopin thing, but it is a Japanese thing, and for a Japanese made game, that makes sense. So, magatama, I have spoken about this before, but we'll go into it again. It's an ancient Japanese ornament, which most believe was introduced to Japan from Korea in around the 3rd to 4th centuries AD. The jewel-shaped magatama is also one of the 3 Shinto regalia, so you have the sacred mirror, the sword, and the jewel. And in this role it is known as the Yasakani no Magatama. Now, early on, from early on, it's been symbolised as the avoidance of evil or the magic of good fortune. But ultimately, its origins are clouded in uncertainty. Some say that its shape represents an animal tusk, because obviously it's a curved little shape. And so, hence came to represent good luck in agriculture and husbandry. Others say that it came from an ancient Korean diagram representing the mother's womb, or embryo, and hence came to mean all good things like the blessing of a new child, growth, longevity, and prosperity. Thirdly, as this website suggests, it's also equally plausible that the symbol originated from the ancient Chinese symbol for Taoism, pronounced Dokyo, which is obviously the yin-yang symbol. And obviously that's the balance of the world. And I don't know, but I think that that whole thing of it being a talisman of good fortune fits very nicely into what was probably intended by the giver of this gift. If it was from someone that Polka loved, then clearly they loved her too, and so they gave it to her as a gesture of goodwill or as a thing to protect her. And that would certainly make sense, but obviously we will find out more about that as we progress through the game, because there's a whole lot of stuff to do with Polka and Frederick and the world that exists here that we know very little about right now, but I'm sure we will come to understand as the game continues. Annoyingly, throughout this dungeon there are only the two enemy types, because you have the weaker pirate, you have the grey-haired, more powerful pirate, but it's a little bit like, just like slightly different enemy types. It's one of the things that I do prefer about some of the later dungeons in the game, that they give you a little bit more variety in terms of the enemies that you're going to be taking down. But I suppose at least the one thing that's good about having just the same enemies throughout is that you do get used to their patterns, as I have, I believe, said many times before.
Now you will sleep.
Now, I'm not quite sure what the song is during this particular dungeon, but my assumption is that when we were in Baroque, just for that short cutscene, the music was quite Defender. When we were on the ship, it was Strolling Hearts, and I believe, and I'm correct in the assumption, that the music that we're listening to right now is The Ultimate Treasure, which is the theme for the pirate ship Dolce. And it is just quite grand and epic, and I love it. There are just a few tracks in this soundtrack which you just listen to and just go, this is really epic and I love it. Because it's just so big and orchestral and bombastic that it just lifts you up a bit and makes you just want to do everything and just kick its arse. I have to say, so there have been a few video game concerts around the globe, and they are becoming more of a thing, which I am so grateful for. But I haven't managed to go to one yet, and I am really quite desperate to. And there's one coming up in the new year as of when I'm recording this, which is a concert performance of Dear Esther. So obviously that indie game which got quite a lot of acclaim back in the day, and so I'm quite excited to go and see that and support that because I want to support video game concerts. But I am now no longer working at the theatre. My internship came to an end, and obviously I had to go find another job. Thankfully I do have another job, which I am beginning on Thursday actually, which should be quite fun. But on my last day, one of the people I work with, who programs in all of the classical concerts and stuff, I think he's been trying to do video game music for a while, but not ever really knowing the route in to take that, and he just said, could you give me a list of soundtracks that like blow your socks off? And I was just like, you've just given me like the best job for my last day ever, thank you so much, I love you. So I ended up sitting down for a bit and just going, right, let's see, what soundtracks am I absolutely in love with? What songs would I like to hear in an actual live orchestra playing? Obviously there's a few which are like your classic orchestral video game pieces that most concerts do but are still totally worth it, like Hikari Kingdom Orchestra instrumental, which is obviously simple and clean in an orchestra form. And then you've got like One Winged Angel and all that sort of stuff. But so I did a list of those, and I also did some of the list of songs which I know are amazing, and that even though they come from slightly niche titles in terms of video game concerts, they're songs that I would love to hear done by an orchestra. And I did include Eternal Sonata on that list, largely because of Make the Leap, because my god, Make the Leap is just like, oh, it is my everything in this game. But there are a lot of songs in Eternal Sonata which are just so glorious. And then obviously there's the fact of Eternal Sonata is actually a really good game for getting people moving from video games into classical music, because as I said before, I knew of Frédéric François Chopin, but I knew very little about him, and I hadn't really listened to any of his music. But after playing this game, I had an appreciation for that, and so I'm always quite happy to listen to a bit of Chopin, because it's beautiful and I love it. And so yes, so I suggested that as a soundtrack, because then potentially you could play some of Chopin, and it would fit entirely in keeping with that concert, because while it is a piece of classical music, it is actually in a video game and it's important to that game. Obviously I also said Bayonetta, because I'm not saying Bayonetta, because you've got that gloriousness of One of a Kind, You May Call Me Father, The Greatest Jubilee, Blood and Darkness. They're all just spectacular. And then also I had to say The Wonderful 101 because I just love that game. But even though you've got some like spectacular songs, you've got the One Stopper Wonderful 100. You've got Intertwined. You've got Jaginga Planet Destruction Form. Just so many songs in that game are stunning and do deserve a place to be performed. Obviously I said Journey with Apotheosis and I Was Born for This, Abzu with Their Waters Are Mingled Together. I did annoyingly forget to suggest Professor Layton and its themes, but I did say Okami with The Sun Rises and Reset Thank You version. Then I did mention Uncharted with Nate's theme because that's just a classic. And then the Ace Attorney games with like the Pursuit Cornered, because that's just stunning. Tenbat Sisters, Steel Samurai, and yeah, I just kind of went through this just massive list. I think, oh my god, it was just like, oh, wow. You've just given me a load of stuff to listen to. That's my weekend sorted. But I'm really hoping that that pays off, because obviously so many of the video game concerts that occur in the UK are basically London, and there are a few dotted around the country, but it's mostly down in London, and it is a bit difficult to get down to London. So obviously you've got to pay for your bus, not your bus, your train fare. You can go by bus, but either your bus or your train fare, it takes ages to get there. You've got to pay for the tickets, which are often actually quite expensive. Because they're always late at night, do you travel back or do you stay the night? That adds expense. So, as much as I really want to go to these things, it's not always viable. Either because I have other things that are recurring, or just from a finance perspective, because if it's stupidly expensive to do, it might not necessarily be worth it. And while I know I would be absolutely overjoyed by seeing it, if I can't afford it, and I can't do it, then I'm not gonna. So actually having that type of concert in my hometown, that would make my life. I would just be so over the moon. So I'm hoping and praying that that leads to something, because I really want it to. Fingers crossed, eh? And yeah, you can see at this point I was just going, nope, just fed up of these bloody pirates. Just running in and out and in and out. Thankfully, I think we only have one more battle and then we are at the level we need to be to go and take down the boss of the dungeon. But obviously we've got a bit of running about to make sure we picked everything up. It's definitely a good chance to get that Goddess Bouquet, because obviously it will heal you up. And definitely I will always take, well, Goddess Bouquet will revive you if you die. And obviously for the fight that we're coming up against, because obviously I said it was a bit more of a challenge than you may be expecting, definitely pick it up because it might save your life. And I like how I'm able to murder these guys in pretty much one round now. Apart from that guy, because he ended up getting a shooting star rather than another wave, but it's fine. Salsa's quick enough to be able to deal with this sort of stuff. But yes, there we go, level 22. That should just about do us. Can't remember what team I'm ultimately going to go with for the upcoming fight. Doesn't hugely matter. I would definitely say make sure you've got someone in there who can heal, whether that be via Polka with her Earth Heal, I'm pretty sure she has that at this point, or Frederick with... Does he have Sacred Signature? I can't... Like, this is ridiculous, because obviously I have finished recording the game now, which I'm so happy about, because I mean, I love Eternal Sonata, and I've had an absolute blast recording it, but it means that I can play other games, I can play new games. So I managed to beat Splatoon 2, I'm in the middle of playing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I'm having an absolute blast. And just having that all recorded means that I have the time to spend enjoying that. And that just makes me super happy. Because it's one of the things of doing Let's Plays and video game walkthroughs and so on and so forth on the internet, is that they are a massive time sink. Because you spend the time playing the game and recording it, you then have to edit it all, you then have to do the commentary over it, and by the time you're done, it's sort of all-consuming, and whilst you're recording a game, you kind of don't necessarily want to play other games because you want to finish that one, and so you don't always get to enjoy new games as often as you would perhaps like to. Especially when it's a longer game like this. So the fact that I now don't have to record another game for the channel until I think it's about November, when I'm beginning to hit a bit of a I'm getting close to needing the next game sorted. That means that I've got loads of time to sit back and enjoy other things, and that just makes me really happy. So I think for this battle we're going to go in with definitely Frederick, definitely Salsa, and definitely Beat. I think at this point we're just going, right, am I definitely happy with this team? And ultimately, yes I am, because all of them are the biggest damage outputters on the party. And while healing is definitely much more, well, it's very helpful, we want this fight to be over as soon as is humanly possible. Because, yeah, let's just say, for Captain Dolce here is, oh boy, quite the challenge. So here we go. It is time to take on Captain Dolce.
Very slowly. I'm ready to go. All I have to do is let loose.
As I do like this because obviously having a female captain of a pirate ship is awesome. And yes, this fight is really challenging because Captain Dolce is really quick, and as you can see, that's one set of attacks, and it's taken off half of Salsa's health. So you can understand why this can be a really challenging fight if you're not prepared. As always, kill the guys on either side first, so that then you can just focus entirely on Dolce. But yeah, do be prepared to be using Angel Trumpets and Goddess Bouquets and lots of healing items and healing moves, because seriously, you are going to need it. But yeah, there goes Salsa.
Did you enjoy that?
But it's fine, because as soon as we've dealt with that guy, we can revive up Salsa and bring all the hate and hurt onto Dolce herself.
Tell me, does it itch? Does it hurt? Wasn't that fun?
And also because she is a very manoeuvrable healing character, she's often going to run around your defences, so you may be able to block from the front, but she'll run around and attack you from there. So she can be a massive challenge if you're not prepared for her. So you do have to just be incredibly careful in this fight. Otherwise it's going to end badly for you. It certainly did for me the first time I fought her. And it was just like, oh my god, no!
Did you enjoy that?
But this time, I'm prepared.
Does it feel good?
And yet, she ain't getting away from this unscathed. I have to say, I would really like to beat her ass with Salsa, because obviously Salsa has been killed twice by this cow, and obviously Salsa's the one who really desperately wants to be a pirate captain. So it'd be nice if Salsa could do the deed, but doesn't really matter. It's fine, Frederick, you just kick her ass, and we get so much stuff. It's beautiful.
Good.
So yes, success. And I think Salsa's going to be incredibly happy, because pirate treasure, and she's got a swanky new hat, because she's just going to steal that crap from Dolce.
It looked like what Salsa said was true after all.
Yes, so it would seem. Amazing. We've actually managed to find the pirate's treasure.
You see, it's just like I told you. I knew we'd find it.
But wait, is it really okay for us to take it? I mean, this is an awful lot of treasure. I feel kind of guilty taking so much.
Come on, you'll never become a big shot if you say silly things like that. Taking this much treasure is no big deal at all.
I'm quite sure these items were all stolen in the first place, so I doubt anyone will complain.
Yeah, exactly. With a huge pile of treasure like this in front of you, nobody'd be interested in any of this other junk.
Look, I got the ultimate treasure!
Except her.
Oh, poor Beat. I guess now you go back to being the short one again.
Now then, I think it's time for us to be heading back. We should hurry and let Captain Crescendo know everything that's happened.
That's fine with me. But before we do that, as luck would have it, there just happens to be a full-length mirror right here. Beat, go stand in front of it for a minute, will ya?
Oh, I just remembered something I wish I hadn't.
What's wrong? Did something happen?
No, it's nothing. Never mind. All right, I'm going back inside now. You should come in soon too, okay? It's probably gonna start any minute now.